Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner, and I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but this is the perfect time for a podcast. It is pouring with rain outside. Coach Mark, I hope you're keeping yourself warm.
I'm not too bad. Yeah, I'm situated about 30k north of Wellington. There's actually not raining here yet, but it's probably coming.
So I was scheduled for a run this morning, and I'm in the world now where I don't wait for the weather to get better. Just what it is, I
No.
just put the right gear on and I get out. So, and you know what it's like. You just feel pleased when you've got it done. So, yeah, good run this morning. But when you're trapped in a situation where you can't run, and let's talk specifically about injuries. Coach Mark, give us some advice on what we can do to maintain fitness, maintain motivation, and focus. Because, yeah, when we can't run because we're nursing an injury, I think sometimes we can be at a bit of a loose end and we can feel
Mm.
anxious about our fitness going away and what is it that we can do. And we've all seen the person in the gym on the treadmill with their arm in a sling and they're still going for it. Now, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but Coach Mark, I'll throw to you. Tell us what sort of things we should have in our minds, what sort of things we should think about, what sort of things we could do to maintain motivation, focus, but also our fitness when we've got an injury. What do you think, Coach Mark?
Yeah, but look, I've been running about 45 years, sort of seriously, and so in that time, I've had just about every injury you could possibly have. But what I'm quite pleased about is that I have come through these injuries and I'm still going all this time.
That's
So
what it's all
so I think
about.
I think I've got a a bit of advice to pass on about that because it can get very discouraging. Especially, I mean, running becomes quite an important part of your life when that's taken away, and when
Yeah,
especially if you're aiming for a goal when that's taken away as well.
yeah, yeah.
Very
That's
easy to just lose total motivation, get quite discouraged, um, and also lose fitness, put on weight, all that kind of stuff. That's all going to make it harder when you do eventually get back, and you will get back into it. What the first thing I found I mean, one of the most important things is your mental game to keep that up, and you obviously focus on what you can't do. You think, well, I can't run, and that's a big minus, obviously.
yep. Okay.
But um, it pays to think, what can I do? Because there's always something you can do, and there's probably quite a lot of stuff you can do. So, and this is things to either maintain your cardio fitness. Obvious ones: cycling, swimming, rowing, all that sort of stuff. Walking, um, but also things that you think, well, this is something I've never really been very good at, and I've never really had the motivation or the time to fit it in, like strength work, like flexibility stuff.
Nice. Good call.
Now's my chance. I can actually focus on this sort of stuff. So when I get back to running, I'll be a better runner. I'll be a better all-round runner,
Yep.
and I'm less likely to get injured again.
Mm, mm.
So I mean, you make a list of these, and there's actually quite a few positives you can look at. Other things I've found is so sometimes I've had an injury where I can't run. Say I can't run on the flat, but I find I can run uphill. For example, it might be
Right.
a jarring type injury. I had a jarring injury on my knee. I couldn't run on the flat without limping, but I could actually run uphill. Um, which was quite amazing. So I actually fashioned a course where I walked all the way down to the lowest part of this hill, and then there was a circuitous route. And I just ran all the way up to the top of the hill, and then just walked very, very slowly back down, directly. And
Oh,
I
brilliant.
fashioned quite a reasonable session, and I actually got better doing that. That was the important thing. Doing that wasn't making me worse. It was maintaining running fitness. I had another one where I could only run downhill because it was a calf soreness. I couldn't really have much push off, but I could actually run with it with the slope and just momentum. I could just turn my legs over and I could
Yeah.
run downhill. So I went to the same route and I I walked up the steep bit and ran down the sort of long circuitous route.
Brilliant.
It just takes a bit of imagination, eh?
Yep. Yep. Now you didn't have those two injuries back to back. You didn't injure yourself running uphill.
No, no, that would have, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if that had happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's for many years apart.
Yeah, look, that's really clever because I think sometimes we fall foul of thinking about running in a binary sense when we've got an injury. Like we don't have injuries, now we can run. We now have an injury,
Yep.
we need to stop running. So it sounds like the two key points you're saying is, well, look, you might not have to stop running. There might be one element or some elements or aspects of running, especially terrain based, that might be exacerbating or flaring up the injury. And conversely, there might be some other elements that you can run, but it doesn't aggravate the injury. And also, don't focus on what you can't do. Sort of reposition that to start to think about all the things that you can do and the opportunities, the strengthening and the conditioning, which sometimes for us, we compromise and we put it in the back seat. This is now that opportunity to sort of build that bank or of resilience by getting to the gym and starting to do those things. So some really good points in there. Some really good points.
And when you're you know, in the middle of an injury and you're trying to obviously get out of this period, again, you want to think like an athlete. So you're not thinking like you were an athlete when you were training for the event, and now I've got a free pass. It doesn't, you know, I might do some stuff. I might do a bit of stuff on the bike. Might go to the pool. You know, doesn't really matter. It does matter, and you fix your goal. So your goal isn't the race. Your goal now is getting to the point where you can run. So that's like your race. And you might have interim goals along the way, much as you have interim races and events along the way. You'll have interim little landmarks that you want to reach, and you want to plan this out. You want to record the sessions that you did, so that you can measure your improvement, and you can see what's going right. All that sort of stuff, but it's also keeping your motivation because you're putting something down. I did this today. I did some form of training today.
Yep.
And then celebrate little successes as well, much as you would in running. So I think about one injury I had. I was able to hop, for example, on one leg. That was a big success. So it was something to celebrate, you know, and back down. Then I was able to run on the spot. So how great was that? And then I got the green light. I could actually run and move forward. And then from there on, you know, little things like that. And then I was doing, you know, a run walk program. And I'd see my average speed for the session obviously wasn't very fast because I was doing lots of walking and very little running. Gradually, that average speed started getting quicker and quicker. Right. And again, there are little successes you can celebrate. You just lower the bar, but do it accordingly. And always thinking, okay, I've reached that. Now I'm moving on to the next one. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Oh, perfect. And look, it's one final question that's just occurred to me before we wrap this up, because that's some really good insights. Thank you, Coach Mark. And the final question is this, and it is about your relationship with your coach, because often when we get an injury, you know, it's off to the physio and stuff like that, which we should do, right? Unless you know how to take care of the injury, you know, it's something that happens a number of times and you know how to recover, whatever, seek advice. I'm not giving any advice, but the question I've got is this. Tell me a little bit about the relationship that someone needs to have with their coach, or what they need to share with their coach, or how their coach can help them with recovery. So what I'm saying is, what the question is we tend to go to the physio, which is good, should still do that, or the doctor or whatever. But tell us a little bit about, from your perspective as a coach, what information you need so then you can make adjustments to the plan, and you can also be part of the team that helps that athlete recover faster. Because I know that I keep you in the loop with when I've got a niggle with my left knee, and it might be just a one-off run, but we keep an eye on those things. And if it starts to exacerbate, I know that you change the plan. So you're actually part of the preventative sort of measure. So yeah, look, I've completely overtalked this question, but Coach Mark, tell us a little bit about the relationship you think the athlete should have with the coach, and how some good coaches like yourself can help the athlete in preventative, but also recovery stages around injuries.
I think it's crucial that the athlete retains that relationship with a coach when they're injured. And from my point of view, I particularly want to be in the loop with the athlete and the physio, so that the physio first is diagnose the problem. So straight away we know what we're working with, and the physio then lets me know what can the athlete do that will help it, and what should they not do. So automatically that lets me know what they can do, and then I work in. So when the physio might give the green light to be able to do something, I can up to that point I can structure and cross training to maintain fitness, and then start building in specific running related stuff. So it's also a case of not letting the athlete get too emotional about things, because I can hop, I can hop on the leg. So yeah, I should be able to go out and run for half an hour, that sort of thing. So it's a case of keeping them grounded and keeping the improvements safe and gradual. But yeah, really important with the physio, and it's really good, especially when the physio then says, "This is great. You've now improved to the point where I don't really need to see you quite so much, and I'm happy for the coach to carry on, take on where I've left off, with me feeding into the physio and giving them feedback of how things are going." Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, thank you for that, Coach Mark. That's probably one of the most impactful, with all the times we've had you on. That was probably the most impactful question I've asked, in terms of the answer that you've given, I think, in terms of insight and what it might mean to a lot of athletes. Usually with the videos we punt up, I like to have a little bit of breathing space between the videos. And I put one up yesterday on comparing the Superblast models, the Superblast 1, Superblast 2 from ASICS, and two Superblast 2s, one with 560K and one with 0K. And the Superblast 1 was 710K. What do they all feel like? What sort of, how does the frame change? And Even though I punted that video up yesterday, I'm going to get this one out tonight, because it's such a good video. Injuries are so important. And I know you brought a new and a richer perspective for athletes in terms of what to do to both prevent, but more so the recovery path from injuries, and especially the mental game. Because a lot of runners run because it helps them in terms of their headspace, and not being able to run can sometimes be really detrimental for that. So then taking care of the injury, and as you said, taking a different perspective during the injury, super important. So I'm going to punt this video up. The other video, yesterday's one on the Superblasts, it's a great video, but I'm not going to give it any breathing space. I'm going to punt this one up straight away today. So those of you that are watching, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit like, it helps us out. If there was any good information in it and you feel like, man, how do we repay these guys for this free information? All you have to do is hit like. That's it. If you want to subscribe, keeps you in the loop when these videos hit the ground. Coach Mark and I do some real short videos, nutritionally rich, with information for you. Hitting subscribe means you get kept in the loop. And if you want to reach out to Coach Mark, and you'll be doing yourself a favor to do that, Coach Mark's details are in the show notes. That is it from me. We will catch you in the next one. Coach Mark, thank you so much.